November 5th was not the end. It, as to paraphrase Winston Churchill, it may be the end of the beginning, but it's just the beginning, because we've got so much work cut out for us. When you think of all the institutions they control, well, this is just the beginning.
Hello and welcome to the Alan Phelim Scoop.
I'm Anne Michael Haney.
And I'm Phelim Michael here.
And it's 2025, so very, very happy New Year to everybody.
Yes, we are currently still in Ireland, but
about to leave.
En route to the sunny United States, where I believe there's a polar vortex coming. We are recording this earlier than you're seeing it. The New Orleans attack has happened. The Las Vegas attack has happened. Maybe by the time you see this, there'll be another attack happened.
And maybe there'll be more information about what has happened. But I mean, for now, it's just extraordinary events that have happened.
Initial thoughts. Do you remember the FBI spokesperson? This is not a terrorist attack. It's just if they thought it was, if it was a white Christian nationalist who just was crazy and did it because he was mad rather than because he was a white Christian nationalist, they would immediately say possible terrorist attack. They would give his name immediately. It took about 24 hours for the names of these people to come out. They still don't know the motive. They're working, and just the default position is this was not a terrorist attack. This is not political, and this is why Trump needs to get in there now. He needs to go in there and dismantle the FBI. Dismantle the FBI. I think Ann Coulter made the point. Why are all the law enforcement spokespeople women? Like, seriously, because most law enforcement.
Because diversity is our strength, Phelim. That's why.
Yes. So the black woman spokeswoman or the black woman FBI agent, her first response was, "This is not a terror attack." By the way, not only was it a terror attack, it was a terror attack by a terror gang. So by telling people this is not a terror attack, it sounds like it's a lone crazed person, when there's 3 or 4 other terrorists running around planting bombs. So you're putting people in danger. Miss Diverse Hire for the FBI, DEI. You'll DIE through the DEI.
Okay, Phelim, moving on.
So anyway, on our show today,
but we're also going to talk a little bit more about that actually with our very, very fabulous guest today, who is Richard Viguerie, our very, very dear and much loved friend, who is just the wisest person we know in the United States when it comes to politics. So we're very, very interested in hearing his take on what's going to happen with the new administration. What are his hopes and dreams? What's he worried about? And he'll also have very interesting things to say that I'm very interested in hearing about the way forward for the pro-life movement after the another raft of unsuccessful ballot initiatives that just happened. I mean, obviously there was some success, but there was a lot of negativity in terms of the results in many, many places. So I'd be interested. He is a treat.
Just so you know,
we're so happy that we're going to have him.
Richard Viguerie predicted Biden wouldn't run. Wouldn't be the candidate. He just predicted. So he predicted there wouldn't be a red wave in the 2022 elections. He's
one of the people most responsible on the planet Earth for getting Ronald Reagan elected.
Yes.
So this is a great guy.
So
has a great perspective.
We're coming up to that interview shortly, but I just also want to talk over Christmas. On Christmas Eve, I got a letter from the California Bar Association.
Yes, you did.
Telling me that my ethics complaint against Hunter Biden's lawyer had been dismissed. As you may know, Hunter Biden's lawyer went to our film set of My Son Hunter, where you can watch it, our movie, mysonhunter.com, mysonhuntermovie.com.
mysonhuntermovie.com. You can watch for free.
Starring Gina Carano, Lawrence Fox, directed by Robert Daly.
John James.
Written by Brian Godawa. An absolute
treat.
Riot of a movie. So he came and infiltrated the set, claiming to be a documentary.
And we were in Serbia. We were in Belgrade.
Claiming to be a documentary filmmaker, came with a documentary film crew, and then proceeded to ask all these questions about the hard drive, how we got the hard drive. He has a conspiracy theory, which has since been revealed, that it was stolen by a conservative psychiatrist that Hunter Biden was seeing, etc., and tampered with, etc., etc. So it's unethical for a lawyer to gather evidence for a client without declaring his interest.
Misrepresenting himself.
Yes, misrepresenting himself. So I made a complaint to the ethics committee. They dismissed it because I was told his name and I was told to do my own research by one of his colleagues. Now, at the time, it was a secret. No one knew that Kevin Morris was Hunter Biden's lawyer. So I, according to the bar
So you
association,
couldn't have got it on the Googling film.
I couldn't have done the Googling and got this information. I was supposed to just find the information, I don't know where, from the top secret
So
list.
are we finished, Phil? Are you pursuing this complaint?
No, I shall be appealing it. Now, this is the same bar association that Tom Girardi, who stole hundreds of millions of dollars from literal widows and orphans, he had 30 ethics complaints against him. And whilst he was giving them gifts and parties and presents, they found that all 30 ethics complaints were unfounded, and they allowed him to pilfer me. And I mean, when I say widows and orphans, I mean literal the people from the Boeing crash in Indonesia.
So this is who the California Bar Association Ethics Committee are. So
Yes,
we'll
be
they
appealing.
have a history.
Listen, Kevin Morris is the biggest loser here, though. He gave 6.5 million in loans to Hunter Biden. Yeah, you give, that guy's going to repay them. And I suppose in the idea that Joe Biden was going to be re-elected, that he'd be in and out of the White House, he would be getting unbelievable access to power, every state dinner, just be the guy about town. What is he now? He's the loser benefactor to the loser son of the biggest loser of them all. Sad Kevin Morris. Sad. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Okay.
He's never going to see that. Apparently, his daughter's really upset that he gives 6.5 million to.
I wouldn't be happy if I was related to him.
Yes.
Anyway, that we'll be watch this space because there'll be more on that. But we want to go over now to the interview we did a little bit earlier with the very wonderful Richard Viguerie. So let's go over to that now.
Thanks. So I'm joined now by our friend and brilliant prognosticator, Richard Viguerie. He's one of the smartest, if not the smartest, conservative political activists. He's one of the youngest, in my view, one of the political activists with the youngest mind. Over a year ago, he warned. Well, actually, maybe more than a year ago. Perhaps he can tell me exactly when it was. And I remember he warned conservatives not to be attacking Joe Biden. He says, stop attacking Joe Biden. I was going, what? Why on earth would Richard say that? And he says, because it'd be a waste of time and money because Joe Biden will not be the candidate. So well done, Richard. He sees things very clearly and always has. He's a pioneer of direct mail to fund politics. And as such, he's known as the funding father of the conservative movement, one of the key figures in the Reagan Revolution because of the funding revolution in many ways. He currently serves as the chairman of conservativehq.com. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Well, good to be with you. I can add one additional identification there. As of a few weeks ago, I unfortunately became 001. Which means I've been active at the national level of the conservative movement longer than every living conservative. Barry Goldwater, Bill Buckley, Russell Kirk. Unfortunately, they're all passed away. Dr. Lee Edwards of the Heritage Foundation passed away a few weeks ago. So I got an unwanted promotion. So I'm glad to be with you, Phil.
Well, good to be with you. Long may you stay with us, Richard. So thanks for coming on the show. Just to be clear, when did you first presciently order? It was an order. I seem to remember it was a direct order people to stop attacking Joe Biden, which is a very difficult thing to do because quite simply he would not be the candidate and it would be a waste of time. I remember reading that email. It was a shock. It was so clear. It wasn't so direct. It wasn't may not be the candidate or probably won't be. It was he will not be. How did you know that, and how did you have the confidence to be so?
Here's my thinking: that Biden was just mentally and physically not able to function as president at the 2 years ago, probably even 4 years ago. But the Democrats they have so many national leaders. World-class leaders like Mark Elias, Eric Holder, John Podesta, David Axelrod, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. And there's no way these world-class strategic thinkers are going to allow Biden to be on that ticket and see the Democrat Party basically implode. And
Hmm.
they want to win. They really, really wanted to win, and they just would not allow that man to be on the ticket. It was just as clear as day. And
Very, very interesting. So you're saying it was a sign of democratic strength, not a
if,
sign of
yeah,
yeah.
that's right. Let me just add something else that I also said don't do, and that is conservatives for the last year and a half have been telling them don't be attacking liberals, don't be attacking progressives or woke or socialists because that's not on the ticket. That's not going to be on the ballot. What's going to be on the ballot is Democrats. So the people who are opening the border intentionally are Democrats. People who cause inflation are Democrats. People who want boys and girls sports are called Democrats. It goes
Mhm,
on and on and on. Whatever the problem is, brand Democrats as the problem because all the other descriptions are not on the ballot. Democrats successfully branded the Republicans for 80, 90 years in the 20th century as the
mhm.
party of rich, big business, Wall Street, trickle down economics. And they won a lot of elections doing that. We now need to brand the Democrats as the party of big government, high taxes, open borders, et cetera, all the cultural issues. And that's will make them so toxic, it'll be very difficult, if not impossible, for them to win elections for decades to come.
Very, very true. Very, very true. And so that'll come as a very difficult thing because the woke. That'll come as a difficult thing for many people to do because woke is such an inviting target. So don't you can attack wokeness, but it's democratic
Okay,
wokeness is what you're saying.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are socialists, and many of them, quite frankly, have Marxist views, and that's okay to talk about that, and that they're woke and all. But all of these people, no matter how you describe them, liberal, progressive, woke, socialist, Marxist, they are all have one thing in common: they're Democrats, and they're supporting the Democrat candidates.
I have a question, Richard. So was that always your? Could you always say that, or was being a Democrat a positive for a long time and has now switched to being a negative, or was it, or should you always have talked about Democrats?
Now, I'd say, many years ago, I used to conservatives used to focus on identifying their opponents as liberals, and we made the liberal word so toxic that hardly any national Democrat now will be associated with the term liberal, and they're afraid of that term. But now we need to transfer that to Democrats because if we can brand the Democrats, and once you're branded, it's like sticky glue. You just can't get rid of it, and it will make the Democrat party so toxic. I can see in a few years they're going to rename the party. They're going to have to restructure it. They will probably. I just came from a conference of 600 people. Vast majority of them were liberals, and to the person there, man or woman, not one of them recognized the reason they lost is because they moved so far left. In their mind, they lost because of some technical reason. Biden stayed in too long. Harris was a bad campaigner. Harris didn't go on this show or that show. And that's okay. I don't want to disabuse of them. Let them think that because they're going to lose the next election and the next one after that. And at some point, they'll come to their senses. But hopefully, they will be so branded that it won't make a difference.
Very much so. I listen to a lot of leftist and liberal podcasts now to hear their postmortems, and you're right. They all believe that it's the medium, not the message.
Yeah.
Um, that Kamala didn't go on Joe Rogan, let's say, and that was part of the problem. Now, some people say, well, we need to go on and we need to speak. It's not so much. Yes, she needs to go on, but she also needs to speak like a human being, right? This is the elevated thinking, but it's no point in speaking about elevated like a human being if your message is wrong. You know,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say they I've heard them say over and over. We done. talking like the average person talks and all that. And they think all we've got to do is just trick these people, use different words, and then they will like our policies of open borders and boys and girls showers and bathrooms. And we'll like that if we just use different words and let them keep thinking like that. Another thing that I've been really, really focused on, I think, is this is a very important message for conservatives. It used to be that I urged conservatives to think of themselves as a third force, that Democrats and all their liberals organizations, Planned Parenthood, Sierra Club, Wilderness Society, they have their own issues, their own agenda, their own source of funds. They pull everybody, Democrats and Republicans, they pull them towards their viewpoint. They're independent of the Democrat Party. They wag the Democrat tail there. But then the other force was the Republican establishment. And we don't want to be part of that. We want to influence the Republicans to move our way as conservatives. But recently, there's been another force that has been added. That's MAGA. And that's good. I'm glad it's there. And we're going to agree with MAGA and the Trump's agenda 70-80% of the time. But we should not be part of the MAGA movement. They should be part of us. And we should have our own agenda, our own source of funds, our own issues, pulling everybody towards a conservative viewpoint. Because sometimes Donald Trump's going to appoint a liberal, as he did, Secretary of Labor. There's other issues over here. We're going to disagree with him. And we don't want to be thought of as a paper tiger. We want them to pay attention to conservatives and move our way rather than for us to be an arm or an appendage of the MAGA movement.
A lot of things you said there. I want to come back to Trump's personnel and why it's important to get good personnel in a moment. But I think you covered it. But just to give you a straight question, why did Donald Trump win the election, in your opinion?
Great question. There's probably 20, 40, 50 answers. A couple of the major reasons. One, more than anything else, the left moved so far to the left, the Democrats, I should say, moved far left on every single issue you can think of. But without something else, that wouldn't have mattered, because ABC is not telling the people how far left the Democrats have gone, or NBC or the New York Times or Time Magazine. It was what you're doing right now, podcasting. The new and alternative media changed everything. Back in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we were, as conservatives, we were the tree that fell in the forest, because the left had a monopoly on the country's microphones. We couldn't get our message out. But starting with direct mail, then talk radio, cable television, now the internet, and all the the bloggers and podcasts, we're able to go around the blockage that the left has on the microphones of the country and get our message to the American people. And that made all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And so going forward, I think that that's the major media in the country, the legacy media, is losing audience. They're getting weaker and weaker by the day. And new and alternative media is growing, and we're getting our message out in a way that we've never been able to do before. And what I would say to your listeners now is everybody needs to do what you and Ann are doing. Become modern day Paul Revere's, spreading the word out there and getting the message out there. We can all be leaders, some at the national level, some at the state, some at the local level. But the number one thing that conservatives need above everything else is leadership. When I went in 1961 to run Young Americans for Freedom in New York, we needed leaders. We didn't have hardly any then. Today, we still need leadership. Every once in a while, we have a strong national leader like Ronald Reagan or Newt Gingrich, but we don't have the leadership that the left has, and we need that leadership, whether you at the national level, state, local level.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, and again, maybe shocking for some people to hear you say that the Democrats have a very strong leadership team, because we've spent so long not demonizing but belittling and attacking people like Nancy Pelosi, John Podesta, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. But at the end of the day, they are great leaders. They're inspirational to not just Democrats but to independents. I mean, tell people why they should take them seriously. They may not like them, but they should take them seriously.
Yeah, we have lost control of the leadership of every major institution in America. The left controls the leadership of higher education, lower education, mainstream media, high tech, Wall Street, big business, unions, organized religion, the nonprofit community. They control all of that leadership out there. And there's one category that they don't control, don't dominate, and that's the voters, the electorate. We're still basically a center right country, 50 50 to center right. And the American people, if we get the news and information to them, they will see the truth. And all we can do now is grow and what we've started on November 5th. And by the way, November 5th was not the end. It, as to paraphrase Winston Churchill, it may be the end of the beginning, but it's just the beginning because we've got so much work cut out for us. When you think of all the institutions they control, well, this is just the beginning.
So, how do you rate Donald Trump? Is he and the opportunities that he has? I mean, I think you were during the last time you said he has the potential to be a Reagan, almost a transformational president. Do you still think that, or am I misquoting you? Or
No. Reagan was a transformational president. Donald Trump is going to be a transformational president. We're in a disruptive society right now. I went to Charleston, South Carolina the last week. I rode in an Uber. That's disrupting the taxi business and Airbnb. And the number one communicator of news and information in the world has no reporters, no printing presses, Google and YouTube. So Donald Trump is going to be a disruptive president, and we need that. Americans are ready for some changes. They know what's happened. They see that the world is not working there, and so Trump's going to come in and radically change things. And I think pull up the deep state by its roots, pour salt on it so nothing will ever grow there again. And I'm encouraged, but he can just do so much. He's going to be there 4 years, and this is going to be a 20, 30-year project. I was part of a national Catholic caucus for Donald Trump in 2016. A few days before Trump was sworn in 2017, we had a celebratory dinner. And our main speaker that night was Newt Gingrich. And Newt said something very interesting. He said, the left will consider the 2016 loss as a speed bump. They know they're coming back. And sure enough, they did. He says it's going to take four victories by conservatives at the national presidential level to break the back of the left. So all of us out there now, we need to be doing what you're doing, you and Ann, and be modern day Paul Revere's. Don't wait for orders from Donald Trump or you or me or anyone else out there. Rush to the sound of the guns. We can all do something, whether it's a blog or a podcast or forward emails, forward videos, talk to our family members, our friends that we influence. And we all need to be, rush to the sound of the gun and provide leadership that we can at whatever level we find ourselves.
So, very inspirational and very true. I remember the last time when Trump won and we talked, I think we interviewed you then, and you said, you're quoting another great thinker, and I can't remember who it was. You said, personnel is policy.
Yeah.
Trump, I think, in my opinion, made some mistakes with personnel last time. Do you think is he making the same mistakes this time, or who do you like in his choice?
Well, not at all. I think Trump himself, I understand, will admit privately his number one mistake in his first term as president was personnel. He looked at people how you look. Wow, this person looks like a Secretary of State, so we'll make him Secretary of State. He's gotten over that now, and he's making some really good appointments. And every once in a while, I don't agree with him. I didn't agree with Matt Gaetz. I didn't agree with his appointment of the Secretary of Labor, a liberal Republican. But 80% or more are people who share his view of disruption. We need to disrupt the direction of the country because in the past, as long as I can remember, which is a long time, 60 years at the national level, Republicans and Democrats have grown government. They all lied to us. They say they're going to do this, we're going to do that, and
Hmm.
government grows and grows and grows, and debt grows. And I think Trump's coming in here now to make a difference, and he's going to do that. Let me just say one other thing here. Professor Harry Jaffa, who didn't not well known, but he was a mental giant, huge asset to conservatives back for the last 50 years. He died in 2016. In 2014, he said, Western civilization survives because of America. Then he added, America survives because of the conservative movement. I've
Hmm.
added, conservative movement survives because of a few hundred of us at the national, state, and local level. So I get back to that issue I was talking about earlier. We
Hmm.
all need to provide leadership wherever we can at whatever level we find ourselves. That's going to make all the difference.
It's a scary thought that Western civilization is dependent upon a few hundred people, and I think it's true. I think it's true. Um, so, just to talk about some of the losers in this, I would say the pro-life movement is on the back foot now, and obviously an issue that we are very, very concerned with. They've lost a lot of initiatives, a lot of referendums, a lot of ballots. Why do you think they lost, even though they won the Supreme Court? And what would you recommend they do to turn this?
You're singing my song. I've been quite frankly, I know most all the pro life leaders in the country. Some of them are clients of mine. I love
Mm,
them dearly, but they are not good marketers. They don't understand how to communicate with the American people. The left outraises the pro-abortion people, outraise the pro-life people by at least 10 to 1, and we just don't have that leadership at the pro-life level, at the national level, that the left has. And
mm,
one of the things that I do as a pro bono project is try to educate. You're on my mailing list. You see what I'm doing out there.
yeah.
And conservatives are not good marketers, but I'm cautiously optimistic that they will, get their act together, become better marketers. And I see some indication that they're recognizing that they're. And one of the mistakes they made after Roe v. Wade was abolished by the Supreme Court a few years ago was to do a lot of high fives and congratulate themselves, pat themselves on the back, and then go out there and try to change state laws. No, all wrong. Before you start trying to change the laws, you've got to win the hearts and minds of the American people.
Yeah.
Margaret Thatcher said,
Yes.
first you win the argument, then you win the vote. And
Yeah.
they have not won Americans' ideas about abortion yet.
Yeah.
First trimester, 70% of the American people are pro abortion. The last trimester, they're pro life. They don't believe in killing a baby, in the last months of its
Mm.
life there. But we've got to do a better job of educating the American people, and the pro life movement has failed in that area.
And so, I mean, I could talk to you all afternoon, Richard. Thank you for coming on. I want to ask you just what are the pitfalls for the Trump administration? What can go wrong? Is the fact that he's a lame duck administration, as in he's actually on his way out the moment he comes in because he can't stand again? Is that a problem? And what are the pitfalls? But what are your hopes for the administration?
Well, first of all, let me just say, I've spent 45,000 hours studying marketing, and I feel I know something about marketing, but I also feel I'm a rank amateur about marketing compared to President Trump. He's a master at marketing and communication. And so, even though technically he's a lame duck when he's sworn in because he can't run for reelection, I know that he knows how to deal with Republicans and Democrats. He's a one man show. He's going
Yeah.
to be able to have enormous influence on the Republican Party in a way that no lame duck Republican has ever had,
Yeah.
because he's going to involve himself in these primaries, in these general elections. So I think we're going to be very, very pleased with what progress we'll see from President Trump in the first 2 years, and probably for the whole term, 4 years. So I'm
Yeah.
cautiously optimistic. But he can only do so much. He needs us at the grassroots level, the state level, to also do our part. He
Right.
needs us to be successful.
Yeah. You're correct. He's going to be transformational, and I think what people, perhaps his enemies and even some of his friends, see him as a showman and that, but he's changed a lot of thinking. He's changed a lot of ideology. He's actually made people think again about many things. To me, he's going to be transformational. And as you say, it's up to us to keep him on the right track and to keep at him and to keep his personnel on the right track by asking hard, difficult questions. And I look forward to your vigorous emails, Richard, in the future, warning us. And please don't, I know you wouldn't hold back from your, because of your long history. Please don't hold back, because any man who could state with confidence, what was it, 18 months ago, the candidate will not be Joe Biden. It's like, it was a shocking thing, because you weren't leaving yourself any way to be wrong, to get out of it. But you did. You were correct. So keep at it, Richard. Please keep sending the emails. We love them. I mean, I can tell you so much. You've talked before about not-for-profits, how the left are outraising not-for-profits. Anne went to one of your seminars once where you said a simple thing of, go back to people who've given you money before. And I was going, well, I never thought about that. So we made it a strategy, and it's been an amazing, simple. Sometimes you need to be told the obvious truth, and you do that, Richard. And sometimes you tell unobvious truths, and we thank you for that. So, Richard, if you want to say something before you go, please do. But
Let me just say thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience there. But I'm 91 years old. I work 12 to 14 hours a day, 5.5 days a week. Love every minute of it. And I would like to remind your viewers there that on April 19th, 1775, 3,500 patriots fought at Lexington and Concord. And about 75, 80 of them were under the command of two majors. 98% had no commanding officer. They heard the sound of the guns. They grabbed their musket and ran to the sound of the guns. And so all of us, at whatever level we operate in, Donald Trump needs us. America needs us. Western civilization needs us to do everything that we can. And all of us can do something, and we need to do whatever we can. Good to be with you, Phelim.
Thank you, Richard. All the best. Bye.
So great to talk to Richard.
Yes.
He's just, I mean, what a gift. What a gift to the whole world. What a gift to us, and what a lot of wisdom that man has to impart. It's 2025. The next time you see us, we will be back in California. Yes. By the way, just before we kind of wrap up, we are leaving Ireland. That's why we're recording early, because we'll be traveling in the next few days. It's very beautiful here. The weather, the days are very short at this time of year, and it goes from total invisibility, you can't see the landscape at all because of the fog, to absolutely amazing clarity and amazing.
Yeah, the winter.
My mother used to say, if you lived by the seaside in Ireland, you would not need a television, because the thing changes so often. Here's a few photographs to give you just a small sense of just how beautiful it is here. So enjoy. And maybe one of these days we'll organise. And we've talked about this a few times before. If we organise the tour of Ireland, would you come? So maybe write in the comments and tell us what you think, because maybe we'll do that one of these days. That's it from us for now. And again, a very happy and healthy and prosperous and successful 2025. We have a lot to look forward to. Roll on January 20th.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.